Just feeling represented for all of those reasons. It's really exciting to be a part of.
A lot of us didn't even know we were in the movie with each other for a long time because there was such secrecy around the project.
I asked them for their numbers. They were like, absolutely not.
Stop texting me, Nora.
The four women whose faces are on the screen have changed the face of entertainment, and so why shouldn't they do that in a fictional sense too?
Yeah, there's been a lot of crying, like good crying on my part. So it's really, really incredible.
Hi everybody, I am Rachel Yang and welcome to Entertainment Weekly Around the Table with the cast of Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm joined by Kelly Marie Tran, who plays Raya, Awkwafina, who plays Sisu the Dragon, Gemma Chan, who is Namari, Sandra Oh, who plays Virana, and Dae Kim, who plays Benja, Raya's father. Thank you everybody for being with me.
Thanks for having us.
My whole life, I trained to become a guardian of the Dragon Gem. But this world has changed. And its people are divided. Now, to restore peace, I must find the last dragon.
You guys all gotten a chance to screen this movie.
Yes.
Yes.
What were your first reactions?
I was so moved. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's really overwhelming because I think we all sort of did the acting part of it in isolation. So being able to see all of the work that went into it, not just from the amazing cast, but also from just the animation and like you said, Gemma, like the different environments and the martial arts, and it was overwhelming.
Yeah, I think in the process of recording it, you see sketches, you see, storyboards, but, the animation happens simultaneously. So you don't really see the world. You just kind of in your own imagination. So I think all of us can agree that when we saw it, we were just kind of blown away. It was not the same as anything that we thought.
I was watching your Hot Ones and you said you saw yourself when you saw like your facial features in Sisu. Like, what was it trippy to find like how your character was like?
It was very trippy because there are capture cameras, but you don't really know how they're gonna work it in, and then the teeth. And I was like, yeah, I should probably look into Invisalign, shouldn't I? No, it worked out. It's so cool. It's the coolest feeling ever.
Yeah, and what about all of you seeing your characters the first time?
I was pretty shocked when I saw my character because I saw some, I guess, pre-visualizations of it, and I had an image in my head of what he was supposed to look like. And then when I actually saw him animated, he looked a lot more like me than I thought he would. In fact, my wife and kids were like, "Is he you?" I was like, no, but there are some real similarities. I just wish I could rock the man bun like he can.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, that looks like Dae Kim. Like, they got you.
Much better looking version.
I don't think it's possible. Hello.
There you go.
My daughter, I believe our people can come together again, but someone has to take the first step.
Now, in order to restore peace, we must find the last dragon.
What was the recording process like? Because I've heard things about, recording in tents and closets. Like, what was that like for all of you?
Did everyone see that little blooper reel? It's just all of us recording in our little booths.
I don't think I saw that. I have to watch it. That's awesome.
It's just tiny little clips of the entire cast. Nora, it's like you and your cat.
I know. I was in me and my cat and he was like, "Can you get this tent out of my house, please?"
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Mommy needs to work. All right.
You had an apparatus, like a whole thing.
I had a full-on apparatus. Which is ironic because I purposely made a room in my house for a recording studio, and there were just it just was not acoustics, reverbs, all that was horrible because I do music. I thought I had top of the line equipment. Turns out no. And so they sent over I thought it was like, we're going to send over a tent. And I was like, oh, cute, like a little tent. And it was like a full on little house. And I put a carpet in there, a little warm light. And I loved it so much. I wanted to make it my writer's studio. I felt creative in there. I wanted to raise a family. I wanted to get some cats and some chickens and maybe a lizard. Have a Himalayan salt lamp. I wanted to live in there. Disney was like, absolutely not. We need that back at 6 p.m. tonight.
I think that has been great because it's like everyone is, as it had to be during this COVID time. like we're all in separate cities, obviously right now. This is the wonderful and amazing thing that I think that we're probably going to continue on, that everyone can participate together in an event, something like this. And everyone is totally, completely in different countries, in different cities, different time zones. And so making the piece, most of us, I mean, I also had I had a booth in my house, but I also went into a studio. So I did both of them. But it's also, I will say for me during COVID, animation kept me going. So it was something that we could do. And absolutely, it was the safest thing to do. Yeah. As we were coming back, is to go into a booth where you're completely alone and do our work. So if you get to see that little video, it's really, I don't know, it makes me feel very close to the whole cast.
I want to see
everyone was doing it everyone did it the same way.
I didn't get a tent thing. I was in like the kind of the smallest room in my place. I was like taping like cushions to the windows because I had really loud birds outside that were so loud. It was just, I was having to time my line with the bird cheeps, and they go like 24/7. Like there's no like just morning and evening. They're like really, really singing their hearts out all day.
What kind of birds you got there?
All kinds. Loud, just really loud birds in London.
I didn't hear it in the movie, so it all worked out.
All right, guys, remember what we're looking for, and don't trust anyone.
Whoa, what?
Hey, baby, where are your parents? Hey, who's baby? What? Really? A con baby?
Yeah, and since you guys all recorded separately, is this kind of the first time that you're all together and able to talk about this movie together?
Yeah.
Did you have like text chains going of like, I can't believe we're all in this movie, like what is happening?
A lot of us didn't even know we were in the movie with each other for a long time because there was such secrecy around the project.
I asked them for their numbers. They were like, absolutely not.
Stop texting me, Nora.
No, actually, Sandra and I were talking about something just, that had nothing to do with Raya. And I was like, wait a minute, are you in this project? Because I'm doing this project. And that's how we found out that we were both in Raya. And so we both I went to Osnat and said, who else is in this project? And of course, then I found out that Benny was in the project as well. And then Gemma. So it was nice to see who was rounding out the cast.
Yeah, they kept like, Sandra, I didn't know you were playing my mom for a long time. They kept that a secret for a long, long, long time. And then I found out and I was like, what? So excited. Yeah. They kept that from me for a long time.
I think they dropped that announcement all at once and all the fans were like, wait, there are crazy people in this one. Like so many.
So the cast. The cast was like, wait. Yeah. We're here at the same time.
I wish to join this fellowship of butt kickery.
Let's go. We'll have to watch our backs. We're not the only ones looking. 6 years of searching. Please let this be it.
Awkwafina, you were cast first, and then Gemma later. Did you guys get to talk about like this is a crazy Rich Asians reunion and like getting to work again together?
No, we didn't have that conversation. I think Gemma, when I found out Gemma was cast, I think we might have had some kind of social media thing like, oh, this is awesome or something like that. Or maybe not, I don't know. But Gemma knows that I love her, and she really can't get rid of me at this point. So that's so maybe she, like I said, couldn't get their numbers, asked a couple times. It's like let me get your Finsta. Let me get your Finsta. I'll hit you up on there.
I'll give you my MySpace account.
Give me your MySpace Finsta.
You follow my Zynga.
What was it about Raya that made you all connect with the movie and want to sign on?
I think there's so many incredible things about this movie. Not only that, just recognizing the legacy of what Disney animated films are, but also being part of a movie that is purposely trying to broaden the narrative. I feel bad. Awkwafina's heard me say this maybe 50 times.
No, I know.
She every time she's like, I'm so interested.
I am. I love you.
I love you, dude. But yeah, being part of something that's broadening the narrative in terms of what do we think when we think of the words princess princess when we think of the words hero. It's really cool just knowing how I think significant this movie is going to be. Daniel, I think, talked about this, and Sandra did too earlier, about, you know, just knowing that kids are going to be watching this and hopefully seeing themselves for I hope it's not the first time, but yeah, just feeling represented for all of those reasons. It's really exciting to be a part of. And on top of that, obviously the amazing cast and the amazing filmmakers too. So many reasons to be excited to be on this.
Oh, mighty Sisu. Who said that?
We really need your help.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not like the best dragon. Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
We're doomed.
Were there specific parts that you guys are really excited to record, or your favorite parts to record?
I loved all of like Namari and Raya's scenes together, because I think they have such a love-hate relationship. You know, they're two sides of the same coin. And yeah, when I knew that, you know, Kelly was playing Raya, it just, yeah, it was really emotional actually. I found a lot of the scenes very emotional to do.
For your character, Gemma, she, I think, is presented a little bit like, yeah, the villain, but that is so not her narrative throughout the movie. And that twist comes at the end, where that honestly like really got to me. What was your reaction when you saw that? Because it was such a lovely moment for her.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I was really excited and drawn to playing Namari because, as you say, she's the antagonist, but she's not a straight up villain. She's complicated. And I love that journey that this character goes on and where she ends up by the end of the film. I think it's also so great that we have, you know, three all of the female characters in this film, like they're all completely agents of change in their own lives. Like none of them are kind of, you know, resting and waiting to be rescued or anything like that. They're all being proactive and going out there and going out into the world and doing it. So that, I think that's really great. And, you know, that's something that's really great for kind of young boys and girls to see.
And art imitates life. Look at the people on this call. The four women whose faces are on the screen have changed the face of entertainment. And so why shouldn't they do that in a fictional sense too?
Thank you. You too.
You know, I am a woman who's changed entertainment for sure.
Yes, you are.
Well, you know what I mean.
You and the dragon are coming with me.
My sword here says we're not.
And like Daniel and Sandra, your characters are kind of like the authority, the leaders in their respective lands. Like when you came in, what were beats that you wanted to hit with your character? Because they, I think, are more complicated, I think, than just the leader or just the king or just the, you know.
For me, for Virana and who's the leader of Fang is the, as you were saying, we started talking about with Namari's character. It's not just a villain. It's a nuanced character. It's not a black and white character. And it was really to impart, I feel like, of protecting one's people, really understanding the sacrifice and the choices that a leader can make, in this case, Virana, to protect her people and the sacrifices. It's also, I mean, I'm training my daughter to be a leader, but it's a certain type of concept of what leadership is, which is it's to take power in a certain way. But I do want to definitely bring a lot of humanity and nuance.
You did, for sure. I think for my character, the thing that really fascinated me about him as a leader is that dynamic when you extend your hand to someone and it gets slapped away. How many times will you extend your hand in the hope that someone reaches from the other side and takes it? And I think that's who Benja is. You know, he has seen the disintegration of these lands. He's seen the factionalization of Kumandra, and he still hopes that he can bring it together. And he's willing to be the one to take the first step. And that, I think, it requires an incredible amount of courage. It's a knowledge that you're probably going to have your heart broken and you're probably going to be betrayed, but you're still going to try. And that just speaks volumes to me, because I think it's a metaphor for how we can all be. You know, so many of us, I think, are taught to ask for something from someone else, but as opposed to extending from yourself first and paying things forward. And Benja, I think, is one of those people. Most of those people historically in real life have paid for that gesture with their lives. If you think about people like Lincoln and Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and Benja almost pays for it with his life too. I mean, it's actually, he's quite lucky he survives it. But it's a great allegory for our world, and hopefully we can follow in its steps with a happy ending.
That was beautiful. Wow.
The world's broken. You can't trust anyone.
Maybe it's broken because you don't trust anyone. You just have to take the first step.
I mean, Raya is really much stuck in that, like, you know, I've been betrayed. She's super cynical. And then she has to figure out how to change that in the movie. Like, for you, voicing a character that has that much depth and cynicism, like, what was your approach in bringing her to life? Did you have any challenges with navigating the different sides of her?
A lot of that you're talking about, just in terms of the way that she views the world, the way that she feels betrayed, the way that she's guarded because she feels like she has to protect herself. I mean, I think that's a very relatable thing. I just remember wanting every single moment and every circumstance and to feel honest, if that made sense. And it's harder to do in animation. I think all these guys can speak to that there. But when you're actually like in a makeshift booth and you've got your sound blankets on the wall, and then you're like, okay, but I'm on a battlefield and there's Droon coming at me and my friends are here. You know, you have to, there's so much more imagination work that goes into it. But for me, I think the moments that really stuck with me in the records were those moments that I could sort of give parts of myself to make it feel like it was really authentic. And a lot of that, especially with the prayer moment where she's just in a place of hopelessness and desperation and reaching out for Sisu, which she sort of sees as a godlike figure that she's not even sure will ever hear her. I relate to a lot of those moments for sure. So yeah, I guess finding it was really just giving myself permission to use parts of myself that I don't really want to show the world sometimes. You're
recording this like booth, you're recording at home, you have to do this emotional scene and then go to your living room. Like, what was that having to?
Yeah, I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks about this too, but I think that's definitely a weird part of this. And I would venture to say that's kind of a weird part of the press thing too for me right now, because I've been doing all this stuff for my apartment and then I just like walk out from behind my laptop and I'm like, I'm home again. it's there's no separation. It's very, very weird.
And I know in our earlier conversation, you talked about, you know, your parents are from Vietnam, and it was really cool to see yourself and your culture on screen. When you watched a movie, were there any cultural things that you noticed, like, I know what that is, or that's cool that they showed that on screen?
So many things. And I mean, I would venture to say, oh my gosh, I had this experience even walking in to my very fancy makeshift voiceover booth and getting the sides for the first time and reading some of the words. There's this sort of, Gemma, maybe you can speak to this too, but Namari and Raya like call each other it's like a lingo that they have, like words like Depwa and words like that, which are actually derived from the Vietnamese language. They've changed the pronunciation of these words, but to see that in a script, I've never felt that sort of feeling before, where I recognized immediately references to things that I had grown up with, and that's throughout the whole movie. The moment where young Namari and young Raya go in to see the dragon gem and they just like silently take off their shoes without any questions and they just walk in, like things like that, you know? It's like these little moments, and it's incredible how empowering it has been just to see a movie like this and to see characters existing in this world without having to over justify or explain themselves. Like they're just here, and that's a really beautiful experience.
Welcome to the world famous shrimp Oreo. My name is Boone. I'll be your server today. Would you like to hear our daily specials?
Yes, please.
We got shrimp, we got congee. We got a shrimp congee that won't quit.
The captain, where is the captain?
Let me go get him. What's up, my new customers? I'm Captain Boone.
And for you guys, did you see anything or learn anything, from this movie that really stuck with you about Southeast Asian culture, or just, something else?
It made me want to eat their food again. Because the noodles and stuff that we were cooking, like we have that scene, Kelly, where we're talking about a dash of this from there, and I was like, I want some laksa, man. I want some noodles.
Yeah.
That shared dinner scene was amazing. It was so beautiful.
It's beautiful to be able to see the rich tapestry of images, whether it's food, whether it's actually weapons, whether it's in fabrics, you know, that you see all painted throughout. I don't really know what my expectation was, but when I saw it, it was much, much richer than I absolutely imagined it. So it's beautiful for everyone just to be exposed to this. Again, it's not a documentary here. This is a beautiful animated fantasy world, and just how richly I think the designers and the directors created it. It was a beauty to watch.
Yeah, it's a testament to the animators for sure.
Clever. Tuk, focus.
Were there scenes for you guys, for your characters, that really stuck out to you that you didn't even expect to like remember, or that really, you know, struck you?
I will say I loved the giant fight scene between the two main characters of Namari and Raya. I thought that, and then I didn't know he was a fight choreographer. I had no idea, right? Because it's totally true. This is a different fight sequence, and of course you have the freedom of you know, animation, right? But there's still probably, I'm assuming that they based it on people who are actually fighting. You know, and I really thought it was very, very exciting, and very exciting how these two young characters who are so confident and in their bodies as warriors, how they approach each other with the same amount of like, my entire family being people are on the line. They're very well matched, the two characters, and so I really loved the fight sequence, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I'd kind of heard and kind of ideas of like what that might be, and heard it described, but it just seeing it, the final scene was just mind-blowing and far beyond. That's the kind of great thing about animation as well. It's kind of far beyond me, Gemma, would ever be able to achieve as an actor. I mean, you know, they're far beyond my skill levels on every level entirely, but yeah, and it's wonderful. And I think they've absolutely incorporated so many different elements from different martial arts from that region. And as you say, Kui, who is one of our writers, is an absolute expert. So that's all, you know, it all shines through.
Awkwafina, your character really has so many beautiful visual scenes. For you, like, what was it like recording that, but also seeing her not just a comedic role, comedic relief, but she's like has really emotional scenes.
Yeah, I think you know, playing Sisu was one of the greatest joys of my life. You know, it was a pleasure and beyond, because I felt very close to her. I felt that I had freedoms that I didn't really have with other animated characters, in terms of inserting my voice and kind of building her. There's just like this crazy thing that happened when I was recording Sisu, and I think people assume that like when you're doing voice recordings, it might be a little bit easier or a little bit more free. But when the focus is isolated on just your voice, you have to do so much more, you know, because, you know, where your face can distract or your movements can distract. I felt big. I felt like I felt like I could have like the power of a dragon. And it was a kind of like character manifestation that I really never had. And then I think we all knew that we were in good hands, obviously. And even though we really didn't see a lot of the movie, but when it came out, you realize it's just a whole other experience seeing it. It's just really not the same, and really, really special.
Did you get to improvise any lines or kind of talk with the writers about, you know, crafting your character?
Yeah, I definitely got to improvise, which is, you know, I think a great thing is that, you know, it's kind of, they're animating simultaneously. So you really are talking to not something moving, or, you know, and so there was one scene where it was like she eats spicy food. I was doing takes for like an hour long, like an hour of just just really like big, just not even funny, just like reactions to spicy food. And they wouldn't cut me out. They just let me go. And yeah, that's the great thing about working with Don and Carlos, is they really let me explore and play.
I kept wanting to picture what you look like when you're recording that whole sequence, when you turned into a human and you're like, look, My butt is so close to my head.
I'm pretty sure I did turn to my butt.
I just shape changed.
Dragons can do that?
Look how close my butt is to my head. It's gonna make digestion so much faster.
And I loved the fans on Twitter and social media being like, I love seeing like brown skin on screen. I love seeing all these Asian characters on screen. Like, I know you guys talked about it a little bit, but how do you hope people are going to take it in?
I hope kids never even think about it consciously. I hope kids don't say like, oh my gosh, it's Asian people. I hope they just see an amazing movie and they subconsciously take deep into their soul that Asian people can be on the screen doing these things, and Asian females can be leaders and fighters. And so that it's not even something that has to be spoken about. They just carry it with them through their lives. That's what I hope.
I hope across the board that you know, I think this movie definitely bridges gaps between cultures and between, you know, young and old, and in its messages about what I think more than ever we really need right now: trust and unity over hate, always. And I think that I hope that audiences, if they do find a familiarity of it, it makes them proud. And if they don't, that they gain some kind of understanding of what it's like to be a part of, to kind of see a glimpse of these cultures. And I hope they enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.
Can I also add one thing to that? For those who are not Asian watching this movie, I hope they say like, hey, let's go to Southeast Asia. Let's see some of these countries. Let's go eat some of this food. I've never tried this. That would be amazing.
And Kelly, I remember you talking about how a big memorable moment for you was sitting in theaters watching Crazy Rich Asians and getting emotional. And now you're in a movie with Awkwafina and Gemma Chan. Like, what is that full circle moment like?
So cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so funny. I actually, like, that movie was such an event for me and my friends. Like, we bought our tickets like months ahead of time. We like fully made like a cool like girl date out of it. It was such a big deal. Yeah, and I think what Daniel said is so poignant and so true. Like, I think we're all, and a lot of us on this call might be from the generation where we didn't see ourselves as much growing up. And I think that a lot of people on this call, every single person on this call, is part of the positive change in terms of making sure that, you know, kids are seeing themselves in all across different forms of media. So to be a part of that with all of these incredible people, yeah, there's been a lot of crying, like good crying on my part. So it's really, really incredible.
How can I help you?
Well, I'm Sisu,
and we need to get to Talon now.
I'm sorry, the Shrimporium is not a water taxi. Toy, that's a lot of jade.
Half now, half when we arrive in Talon. Deal?
Clasp onto your kanji. Today's special is to go.
Did any of you watch it with your kids actually? And what did they say when they saw it?
I watched it with my kids, but they're a little bit older. But they really dug it because, you know, I have two boys and they're of the Star Wars generation, the reboot generation. And so they kept seeing a lot of parallels to Star Wars and other Marvel films and other Disney. And so they were like really fluent in kind of the language of the architecture of the film. And of course, like the fact that Kelly was in it was a big sell because, you know, they're big Star Wars fans and they were big fans of everyone. And so they understood the impact of it as well.
We were just on a call with Benedict Wong, and I think it's okay if I tell you the story. He was telling the story that he was watching the film with his 4-year-old son. And at the end of the film, his son gave him a big hug and said, "I trust you, Daddy." Right? And that is it. That is all you want. Then the film has done its job, and we've all done its job because that 4-year-old understood the message, turns to, you know, obviously parental figure and says, "I trust you." You know, it's a simple story. It's like, oh, he's just seeing the movie with his son, but it's exactly on point. It's exactly what we want.
And Benny's son is so cute. So imagining him specifically doing that too. So cute.
Gosh.
I mean, what a way to end this. I mean, is there anything I haven't asked you guys that you wanted to mention? It's beautiful.
I'm just honestly so excited to see everyone on this panel.
Yeah.
I can't get over it. I want to see it all the time. And I think it is going to happen. I mean, like, it's just going to continue happening. And I'm hoping that it continues to happen, where it's like, we get to all work with each other in some capacity in one way or another. It's just exhilarating for me to be able to share a panel with friends and co-workers. You know, it is thrilling. I'll just say it's thrilling for me.
Same. I feel like this is gonna sound weird, but I think this might be my first production where it didn't feel like there could only be one Asian person. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, when you're doing things and you're like, there can only be one, and it's like to be part of something together. It's wild.
And not to mention you, Rachel, the fact that you're covering this story, you know, and this is all part of the same thing, you know, and that you're here in the position that you're in to amplify this message. That it's what it takes.
This has been Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with the cast of Raya and the Last Dragon. Check out the film when it comes to theaters on March 5th and on Disney Plus with Premiere Access. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Everybody go watch Raya.
Thank you.
Okay, bye guys.